What's up, everybody? I'm Gymkhana Josh, and welcome to Beyond the Apex. We're going to talk about motorcycle everything, and then some. Before we get started talking about motorcycles and getting into it, I got some fine fellas here that I need to introduce to you. Over to my left, this is Jose Butter Rosario, a fine gentleman. Uh, One of Brooklyn's best, actually. He's my co host. Butter, you got anything to say before we kick things off?
Friends, family, bikers, respect. Just a quick shout out to all the bikers that went down this weekend. Big shout out to Gamba who passed away from the firm. So throttle hands up for all the brothers that just passed. And welcome everybody to the show. Let's do it.
All right, all right. So down on below me, under Butter over there is Justin. Um, I've actually ridden with Justin in the Seven Lakes areas, a little bit north of the city, and he's a track junkie. Also, really serious about his street riding. I don't know if I would call him a street Rossi or what, but he takes riding seriously. He's got a lot of good things to say, and I think we'll have a good conversation today. Um, Justin, you got anything you want to say before we kick things off?
No, not really. I just I appreciate you inviting me to be on. This is going to be a fun time, and yeah, just it's a big deal with like all the roads being open out there. A lot of riders. I see a lot of people riding. That's really good, man. Just keep it safe and keep awareness going. But yeah, this is going to be a good show. Thank you.
Actually, you mentioned something right there. Be safe. This is a really, especially now, this is a good time. You got to be safe on the road because any mistake you're making out there going to the hospital, you're bound to get sick, honestly. Even for just like a simple, broken bone or something like that. You don't want to send your butt to the hospital, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Looking at like the news feeds, and I think like it's like every week I'm seeing like, oh, somebody went down like the FDR and things like that, and you got the open road, but people be flying on these things, man. like just like a bat out of hell. It's like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
So I got a hashtag no five borough riding. So anybody who rides in the five borough, that's not my thing. You know what I mean? Like I like to go out and put a couple hundred miles. Um, there's really no safety in New York City. Five boroughs are trash. The roads are trash. I'm a simple guy. Put me out in the Poconos, out on 78, 33. Give me some twisties off the 611. Go up to exit 20, up on 87, 32, 23. Those are all beautiful S-turn sweepers off the mountain. Those are real rides right there, you know what I mean? You get to go up there, open throttle at 170, 180 miles an hour, straight up 87. And hit off the exit and just do the twisties at 50. You get to enjoy the ride all the way up, like you get to blast open, it's just a straight run. And then you get off the exit and it's all like 400 turns all the way around. So it's a great ride.
Yeah. How long does it take to get out there?
If you go up to 20, probably about 2 hours. It's a 2 hour run. I get to 87. There's a gas station over by right before you hit 16. I gas there and then I shoot straight up to 20. And then when you get off of 20, you hit 32. That'll put you up to a place called Caters Fall. It's a beautiful waterfall outside New York City. And it comes down and river road through the whole town. But as you're riding 23,
Yeah.
it's just you going all the way up the mountain.
Somebody just mentioned in the chat just now that it's echoing real bad as you guys are talking. It's because like you got the audio from everybody coming through your speakers and it goes back in your mic.
Shit.
If you turn your volume down a little bit, it should probably fix that echo issue for people.
How about that?
For me, I don't hear it. I got the headphones on, so it sounds normal to me. But
That's probably me because I got like a small outboard speaker, so that probably fixed it.
I got my audio team on the back. Is it still echoing? Okay. Yeah. So whoever has their phone on or anybody feeding outside of their laptop,
Yeah. I'm just saying it was probably me. I had a small like external speaker, and my mic was probably picking it up. So I'm using my laptop's mic. Yeah. So yeah. Anybody just speak up if there's like any other like echoes picking it up, and I'll see about getting my headphones going.
Hey, so y'all that mentioned it in the chat, thank you, by the way. I appreciate that. Instead of letting us go all evening with terrible audio. All right, let's get to it right here. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to throw up 3 topics on the screen. Probably won't have time to talk all night about all these different topics, but essentially, first thing I was going to talk about is beauty and the basics. Second thing, the 80-20, and third, rider egos. First topic was you, Justin, beauty and the basics. I know you had told me before that you're like actually trying to become an MSF coach, right?
Yeah, man.
So I think this probably hits home for you. Like, kick us off. Go ahead and let's talk about it.
You know, it was like, I mean, kind of like what I like what Butter was talking about with the, you said you like no 5 boroughs. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I don't do the 5 boroughs in New York.
Yeah. And you know, and I encourage a lot of people to kind of follow the same thing. Many of the things that I do, like when I meet new riders, first I find out that they've taken an MSF course, and it's like just like the skimming the top of motorcycle knowledge, but I think it's really helpful for a lot of people. And like dudes especially, like they'll just get a bike and just start riding like, I got this. It's like, dude, there's like a whole science and art form to this shit. Like, you know, people spend their whole, like, you think like GP riders, they practice every day, you know? So there's a lot to it. So you know, I ask people if they do that, and then I ask them if they ever get out of the city to do some like distance riding, and I ask them if they ever get out on the track, because I think those 3 things, like MSF, better like getting out of the city for better roads basically, and less traffic, and then getting onto the track. Those are 3 things that I think that can really improve people's riding skills. And also getting with people who know better than you. You know what I mean? So they can like get out, because like I've been out with people who ride better than me, and they're like, oh, I was watching how you did this or how you did that. And if you check your ego at the door, you're like, oh, okay. And they say, oh, try this or that, and then you're riding so much better. You know, or you're out on with somebody else, and you see somebody doing something stupid, like romping on their rear brake at like a fast stop, and it's like, dude, what you don't do that shit. Like, you're gonna lock up your rear wheel, man.
Sorry to interrupt you one more time, but people are still saying there's like crazy feedback. Do either by any chance have some headphones you can throw in? Justin just disappeared into his background.
Am I giving any echo?
What's that?
Am I getting any echo? Are you giving any echo?
I can kind of see the audio levels here. It looks like whenever either one of you speaks, the other person's microphone picks it up. But if he gets headphones in, that might fix it on his.
Well, let's see what we can do here. All right. Well, while I'm doing this, why don't we just switch off to your next topic, and we can come back. Okay. Just give me a minute.
Sure. So the 80-20, Butter.
What is that?
Butter was talking to me about this about a week ago, and it really has to deal with like the perception of motorcycle riders to other riders, the general public, etc. Like, Butter, what exactly? How'd you come up with the 80-20?
So the 80-20 rule is you have 20% riders who are like really good, exceptional riders. These are guys who visit the track often, know what they're doing. They got a grip on actual riding. And the other 80% is just you got experienced riders who've been on the road for a long time, like you were saying earlier, Justin, that they think they know it. Let me tell you, riding for 30 years. I started the track. Shout out to Team Fast Life. They kept pushing and they kept pushing me to come back. And shout out to the gentleman who we named our team after, Andrew Rispoli. God rest his soul, he used to tell me all the time, get on the track, come on the track, come on the track. And I'm like, man, I don't need the track. And then come on the track. My first day on the track was like, have I been riding wrong 27 years?
Yup.
What do you mean that this is wrong? What do you mean I'm not? Wait, who told you I'm not supposed to do this? What? Hell no! And I'm like, no way. And I tell you, my first run through the track, I applied everything I learned in class, and I was like, wow. Where I kind of like, I kind of like question myself. Am I good enough at this point? Is this low enough for me to get? I was just getting lower and lower, and I was just like, wow, this is easy doing it the way these guys are teaching it. And so a lot of guys out there in the street are not track technically savvy. They're definitely not doing that much track. Mm-hmm. I mean, I speak to customers all the time at the store, and the first thing they tell me is, man, I want to do track so bad, but it's like they get into the street intense riding, and it's just like they forget about it. They don't think they need it. And I tell you right now, man, it's changed my life since I started. It's a lot better rider. I'm a more cautious rider as always. I've always been cautious. I got kids to come home to, but just learning what I learned at the track makes me look at my bike different. I'm pretty sure most people, they get on their bike and they just turn the key, and as long as it starts, they're out. I'm like checking tire pressure, checking my chain, how loose it is, checking my brake, because I want to be able to know that if I'm going into a hot turn and I can trail brake my ass out of it, So these are just things that I learned, and just made me so much of a better rider. You get a lot of riders that come out and they go down because they didn't check their tire pressure, they didn't look at their tire tread, anything. These are just things that they don't do. They just, like I said, they just get on the bike and go. Some bikers don't even check their oil level. And
absolutely,
so it's something that you really want to like learn. And even a lot of times when you take your bike to service and you get your tire pressure checked and all that, they're putting the maximum weight on the tire. So you could be riding a bike and it's like 39 pounds of pressure on your bike, and you don't need it because you're not carrying maximum weight on the bike. You know what I mean?
Right.
You should be down at 34, 36, and they don't know that. Guys are running around with tire pressure at 40. So you come into a hot turn and you think you trail brake and you jab that brake, but the tire is not, it's not giving, no way. That's it. You're done,
Yeah.
That's true.
Ooh.
You got everything taken over there, Justin?
Well, yeah. I mean, I got everything going through my headphones. I've got no extra audio coming through my laptop at all. It's just my headphones.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we were talking about initially, the like beauty and the basics, practicing the fundamentals.
Yeah, man. Like the what's funny when you're saying like about the tires, the like when it says like 42 max on there, that's fully loaded, and by the manufacturers, they're talking about two people. That's really what they're saying, not one rider. They're saying a fully loaded bike is two people, and so if you're carrying two up, that's what 42 pressure is for, Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like that's like part of the basics that I think that people should get to know. I mean, you don't have to be a damn mechanic, but you should definitely be able to look at your bike and be like, oh, my oil's low, my hydraulic fluid's low. Checking to see if like your radiator's got leaks or not, or if it's holding pressure. Basic stuff like, are my tires low? How to read a tire if it's getting wear and low, not like where it's extreme and you can see the white strip in the middle. You know what I mean? But being able to read the markers in the tread, you know what I'm saying?
That's important. A lot of bikers don't realize that. A lot of bikers don't realize that their tire gets a little flat on the surface, on the middle. So the carcass in the middle is a little bit different than the side. You'll have a little bit more stiffness in the middle based on the tire that you're riding. Usually like the Q3, they warm up fast, so the whole carcass is very, very soft. But you get those lasting tires for guys who want to save money on not changing their tire every 3,500 miles. They'll get those tires that have like a good carcass in the middle with soft on the side, and then they're not really leaning it. And you see the middle wearing down and it's kind of flat. That's also based on one, not leaning, two, not proper air pressure. If your tire is full, you're not getting it to open up when you go to lean, or when you go to trail break, that it opens up and rubber to lean on. So you're gonna get those flat spots, and a lot of people don't know that. So it's very, a lot of people think that these tools, you pay 15, $16,000 for a bike, and they think the bike is gonna ride itself. It's not. You have to make sure your bike is properly equipped. I kind of do inspections for a living on vehicles, so I sometimes, like, I give somebody a summons, and I'm like, "Hey, you didn't check that tire is like completely bald. Like, it's got the metal sticking out. Did you not see that?" I'm
I
like,
think
The
another
sparks flying when you hit the brakes.
"Boy, you pre-tripped your vehicle, buddy. That's why you're getting a summons. So have a nice day."
Yeah, man.
another thing for me, honestly, when you're talking about fundamentals and basics, yes, maintenance is definitely a big part of it. I know actually when you're a part of a community though, a lot of people help you out in that regard. Nobody's gonna hesitate to come up to you and be like, "Hey man, you got a rusty ass chain," or like, "Hey dude, like your brakes are squeaking or your tires low or something like that." But even before you even buy a bike, well, not buy a bike, but before you get a bike, I think you should really get it in your head to master basic skills. I can't tell you how many times I've ridden with people that, they can blast down the highway, they can go 160 on their bike, no problem, maybe even take the twisties a little bit, but they're like crab walking around in a parking lot just to move from right here to over there. Or I don't know, it's just like, I think if you can actually master honestly what you learn in the BRC, the MSF course, if you can master those, and I don't think anybody's really mastered them even after years and years of riding, but you will be a much better rider, much safer, and I mean you'll be much more knowledgeable too about how
Well, and
these
that's the
things work.
point. Like what you said about mastering them. Like that's a
That's the
thing.
thing.
You never master these
Mm.
things. You know what I'm saying? Like GP riders practice every single day,
Mm.
every day. You
It's
know what I
funny.
mean?
It's funny. It's funny you say that. So I'm pretty sure the show's name Beyond the Apex, but the actual movie, Hitting the Apex. Valentino Rossi, one of the greatest riders of our time. He's the Michael Jordan of riding, and in his transition of getting to become an older rider, he was watching Marquez and he couldn't understand, how the fuck is this guy beating me? How is this kid beating me? And watching videos, and watching how Marquez moved his body on the bike, he was doing something that the older riders weren't doing in times before him. His body position was unusual, was unorthodox, and people were like, "What the hell?" And what happened? Valentino started doing the same thing he did. He started learning how to move his body in a different way. And I mean, even at 40 something, at 38, when he, kind of came back to life in MotoGP, you realize, he said, I had to adapt to the new skills. Why? Because the bikes are built different. They come, with less weight. There's this, there's that. So body distribution is very important on a bike. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You lean on a bike on a 1996 CBR compared to a 2020 CBR, it's going to be totally different. It might be the same mechanics, but you're looking at two different weights, to aerodynamics. Things are built different. Wheelbase is different. So there's a lot of things that come into play. And as you see, even when he went to Ducati, I mean, Rossi couldn't even keep the Ducati up. He couldn't keep it off the ground because it was a different bike. He was so accustomed to riding that R1 and positioning himself in a certain way, in a certain point, that even transitioning to a newer, different bike, he couldn't keep the bike up because the same thing that applied to the R1 doesn't necessarily will apply to the Ducati.
No, no.
Different things.
And the biggest factor is the rider itself making that connection, because I was just watching this race. I forget the guy's name. My buddy Rick turned me on to him, but he was a GP racer, and he was doing a vintage race, and the guy was on a 1929 BMW, all right, with a suicide shift and no suspension. And the tires were the same in the front and rear. They're probably like 4 inches wide, maybe 3 inches wide. Okay. And he was spanking everybody. out there. Now these are all vintage bikes, and so they went up, but he had like the oldest bike on the track, and he was destroying out there. So it's really like, it like reminds me of like that scene, like in Blues Brothers, right? And they go into the music shop with Ray Charles, and the dude's
Yeah, yeah.
looking at the piano, and he's like, "Oh man, this looks like a piece of junk." And Ray Charles like, "Step aside. Let me see what you're talking about." And Ray Charles just rips on it, and then doing the whole musical scene, and people are flipping in the streets and stuff, and then it ends, and it's like, "Seems all right to me." And you're like, well, shit, you're Ray Charles, So, but it's like, but then the problem is you get people go out and they're like, oh, I'm gonna get like the baddest fucking organ I can, and they get, and they've only been playing, like, you know, the Three Blind Mice on the piano for like a month, and it's like, um, you know, like I started off with like small ass bikes that, you know, dirt bikes and small old Hondas, and I see like like I was out with you, Josh, and I met some dude out there for the first time, and I was like, oh, like, what are you riding? And he's like, oh, I just picked up like a brand new BMW, and it was like the 1000S and or and I was like, what? Okay, and he's like, yeah, I just started riding like 3 weeks ago, and like 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 everything on me just like tensed and like puckered. I'm like, oh my god.
That happens all the
Three
time, man.
weeks, 3 weeks, and
Yeah.
you got like a monster. Like I've been riding since I was 16, and I've of course taken breaks, but like I just bought my first leader bike, last year, and I still think that it's probably beyond me. Like I probably should have gotten a 600,
No, honestly though,
because you
even
learn so much faster
even
with a
if you're
smaller
a new
bike.
rider and you get a BMW S1000 or 1000S, whatever the newest, baddest, biggest bike out there is, there's people that can do it and do it right. It's all about your mentality, honestly, because you could kill yourself out here with a 250. Let's be completely honest. Anything that goes over,
True.
40 miles an hour, you can
Of
kill yourself.
course,
It's just it's a
of
little bit
course.
easier on, the leader bikes and bigger.
So,
Yes. Yeah,
so to
yeah,
kind of,
yeah, yeah. I was talking
Yeah.
about learning though, because if you're a
yeah,
new rider at 3 weeks, you know what I'm saying? He's got a
Mhm.
lot to learn. You'll learn way more on a smaller CC bike than you do
You
on
can
a
you
big
can
one
learn on a leader
because it's
bike
just
though.
this
You can learn
toy.
on a
It's
leader
not
bike. I wouldn't deter
threatening.
anybody
so,
from
but
doing the
yeah,
leader bike
yeah,
thing.
No, you can. You of course you can. I'm just saying
let
it's
me
easier.
piggyback on Justin's topic here. So he's actually right. So I'm in the dealership business. So I talk to a lot of guys in the dealership, and they walk in have no knowledge of riding a bike, and the first thing they're like, "Yo, I want to buy an R1," and I'm like, "All right, cool." Like,
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm like, "What do you like about the R1?" And the first thing they say is like, "Well, Valentino Rossi's the man," and I'm like, "All right, here we go." So you're buying a bike based on someone who actually rides his bike for a living, and that's really all that's the only reason why you want to buy a bike, right? So, um, first of all, you'll never ride the bike that Rossi rides because it's like a $4 or $5 million bike, and you'll never be able to afford to ride that bike or ever see that bike in your life. So then you're just looking at a stock R1. So um, there's so many things on a stock R1 that it's like, holy shit, this bike has all these fucking bells and whistles, right? But you take that bike to a track, like I used to take my ZX10 and can't get out of second gear because you're doing 135 in first gear. So you really don't enjoy the bike to its capacity,
Mm.
especially if you're going if you're going based on what I want to do. Like I want to learn how to perfect the craft of riding this amazing vehicle. This is amazing. I think somewhere along the line, God must have been a bike rider, must have been an MC guy, whatever. He built bikes. He gave somebody the knowledge to do bikes.
I think day 8
There's
actually he said, "Let there be bikes." Yeah.
yeah, on the seventh day. He probably rode his bike throughout the world when he created the world in 6 days, and then he rested by riding his bike on the seventh. That's
Yeah,
basically
no, he's like,
he was
what's
a
the
hip. He was
quickest
chilling.
way that
He was
people
chilling.
can get around?
Yeah. So and so when I go to the track and you see all these guys that now the leader bikes for the more experienced expert riders, they're out there. All right, fine. But even on a 600 on a track, you never get to like really push the bike to its potential because you're not, how can I say, you're not racing for speed, you're racing for time.
Mm.
So I try to tell people, like, even when I go to the track, I hear these guys, they're so egotistical. They're like, yo, this dude passed me on turn 18, on turn 11, on turn 6. And in my head, I'm like, so what? If it took him 2 minutes to do the track and it took you a minute and 30, you're better than him. You know what I mean? It doesn't really necessarily mean because he passed you, he's better than you. He probably took a turn a little bit crazier than you did, and that's it. But that's the problem I usually have at the track. Some of these guys that are really good, they're so busy trying to pass people, and because that's like an ego thing. Well, at the end of the day, as long as you do your time, the record time at New York Safety is like 126 by Carl Wyman. Got on the track first time, never been there, jumped on a fucking R1. He pulled a 126, walked off and said, "All right, bitches, deuces, beat my time." You know what I'm saying?
And that goes right into a certain mentality that that we see on the street. And Josh, you mentioned the phrase "street Rossi," and I think like people improperly take that same attitude out on the street. Now I'm guilty of doing this, okay, but I've got the awareness to find the proper place, the proper time. You know what I'm saying? So the last time I did that, I was out on the LIE, and it was just open. Like there was like, and it was a section of road where I think they just repaved it. Okay, because I don't mess with like messed up pavement. If it's like cracked and stuff, that's it. Like I'm not opening that throttle. But it was like a section was like perfect, new. There was like 3 cars on the whole thing. I'm like, all right, let's go. And it was beautiful. It's a beautiful day. Like everything was perfect for that moment. I was like, all right, let's have fun. But you see people doing the same thing in like typical New York City. You know what I'm saying? Where there's like traffic and people and all the shit. People popping wheelies in like Midtown. I'm saying, you are out of your mind, bro. And it's like it's I think like understanding. It's like no. For one, you're probably not at like the best skill level. You just have the attitude that you want to be, and you want to show people that you are, right? So there's like this ego thing. You know what I'm saying? And ego is like really get away. What's that?
I had a guy. He had a Jigsaw, right? So he has a Jigsaw 1000. Really nice guy. And he's talking to my friend, and he's like, "Yo, we got to go riding and this, that, and the third." And I'm like, first of all, you got a Jigsaw, man. So that's your first mistake in life.
Oh no, everybody hates on Jigsaws.
Yeah. So we're talking, and he's telling me, "Oh, I said, do you ride that thing? And he's like, yeah, He says, I'm a beast in the 5 boroughs. Like I go through cars, I've weaved through traffic. I was like, well, yeah, you definitely could beat me. You probably beat me on a 125 because I'm like an old lady in the 5 boroughs. I'm afraid of the belt. I'm afraid of the BQE. You call it what you see it. Catch me on 78, 33, I-87. I'll play in the triple digits above $160, $170. I don't give a shit. But you will not catch me. And there's guys that, let me tell you something. God bless them. I see guys flying on the Belt Parkway, and I'm doing like 80, 90 just cruising, and they blow by me like I'm standing still, and I'm like, God bless them.
Dude, because the belt is no joke. There's so many craters and bumps on the belt.
I've seen dudes that are nasty, track guys, and they'll have a little bit one too many drinks, and they forget that they're riding in the 5 boroughs, and at 167 mile, they hit that little bump coming off the BQE into the belt. There's a bump. It's taken so many good riders out. I mean, I know guys that have actually gone out on that little bump. When you come off the merge of the BQE into the belt, there's always been that little pop. And it's a left lane. If you hit it and you're in a lean at a high speed,
yeah.
And it's but see, like that's nobody really thinks about that. Whenever I see like a lump in the road in a corner, I stand the bike up just for that moment. So I go over it straight and then get back into my corner because I don't, because your suspension's not really designed to go over big bumps in a corner. I mean, street bumps.
New York City bumps.
Right. There's another one of those on the BQE, right near like exit 27, like Flush? Near like I think it's the Atlantic Avenue. It's like a left-hander, and you're coming up. Yep. And it's just one of those lumps that goes the entire width of the road. Like you can't avoid it. And I've got my suspension set up for the track, so it just pound, like I'll get up out of the seat if I stay on it. It'll pop me right out.
Speaking of setup for the track, the day that I went up to Seven Lakes with Justin, this dude showed up in a, what year is your CBR? Like 2011? 2011 CBR with fully raced out fairings with a little modular headlight on it. Basically, like he could just take it from Seven Lakes right to New Jersey Motorsports Park within a couple hours. And I saw that bike and I was like, damn, this dude, he really came out to play today.
Probably on a 600 or 1000.
It's a 1000, yeah.
CBR, I tell you right now, greatest CBR 600. If you're gonna get into riding bikes at the track or even as a first-time rider, CBR has not changed the bike since '06. It's basically the same exact bike. All the parts practically fit. You know why?
Yeah.
It's not broken.
Hondas are amazing.
Don't fix it if it's not broken. That's what their motto is. And you go to the track, a lot of these guys are out there with these CBR bikes. They're amazing bikes, man. They're really good bikes. I mean, I recommend if anybody's buying a bike for the first time, buy a CBR 600. You know, even for a guy like me who sells Kawi Yamaha, I tell people, man, I mean, even though the new 636 is a really great bike, but even if you find yourself like an older model CBR, they're just so great. I do better times on a CBR 600 than I do on my ZX10 or the R1. So it says a lot about the bike and how I can handle that bike persistently, and you know, even in the smaller gears, because you don't, you know, you're in third or fourth gear on that bike where it's easier to hit a turn and come out of it. I don't know. There's something about the bike that I feel.
I want to get a 3. I really got my heart set on like the CBR 3, and because I mean it's like when you get something that light, it's just so incredibly flickable, and fear and your awareness changes and the fear goes down big time, because you could have it cracked open all the way, and you know you're not going super fast. You know what I mean? And you just flick it around like it's nothing, you know, and you know that kind of like what I was like reading about a little bit ago about like the mental like aspects, you know, when you're riding, is that you know you notice it more. I think, well, I do. When I'm on the track, is like that fear factor, and my awareness goes way out. But on the street, I feel like people, you know, which is why like I promote people taking their MSF courses, is that the like the fear and the focus and awareness, they just don't have any mind for it. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's super important that people like keep their mind about like, okay, what's happening around me, you know, and not just like what am I doing. It's like what is like you kind of like I feel like when you become a motorcyclist and you become like an aware motorcyclist, you can put your mind into other drivers. You guys ever do that? Like you can like psychically put your mind in other you're like, you know, that they're gonna shift lanes without turning on their signal. You're like, you just get a feel for it. You're like, yep, I know it. Like they're doing something, and it's like a spider sense, right? And you can like read people, and you're like, yep, I knew it. They were just about to fucking cut me off. You know, and you back off. You know.
I was on the belt today, and the guy's on the left lane. I'm going into Flatbush Avenue. I'm on the right lane to exit. He's on the left lane, so you would think he's gonna keep going to the Rockaways. Right before the drawbridge, where the actual exit is, this motherfucker just crossed all 3 lanes and exit. Damn. Like, and I'm just cruising. I'm working, so you know I'm not speeding to go nowhere. I'm getting paid to go from one location, and I'm like, what the fuck was all this about? Like you killed 2 people because you don't know where the fuck you're going.
And maybe if you were going faster, you would have been hit.
And now, with the way being light, everybody's driving like it's the Autobahn.
Absolutely insane.
Insane. And that's why bikers are gonna get killed. You know,
that's what they are doing. There's like news. I read like a news thing like every week that somebody's just laid themselves out on one of the highways around New York. And I'm just like this is not the place.
110 on the regular. Then you got bikes doing it. So it's like if somebody's switching lanes and you're both doing 100, nobody's gonna know.
Right. And the thing is that is that like if you're regularly in an environment where you can behave that way, okay, so let's say you spend a lot of time in your car or bike on a track, or you're used to being in certain parts of Europe where you can drive super fast, your mind and your body is conditioned for that.
Yes.
But most people, this is like the first time they've taken their car or their bike into the triple digits. And they're just like, woo, I'm gonna just be free and do this whole thing. It's like you don't know how your vehicle handles at that speed. What
Absolutely.
kind of what kind of experience do you have in that? You know what I mean? And then
Absolutely.
people just getting laid out. And I like people will crash and like a lot of hearts get poured out. But like my first question is like, well, what were they wearing? You know what I'm saying? And like I was watching this one video. It was that guy Fast Eddie, and he was talking about gear, and he's like he said if you're sitting in the back of a pickup truck doing 50 miles an hour, and you jump out, is would you feel comfortable or uncomfortable with what you wear when you go riding? Like I would be comfortable as shit. Like I wear gear fucking head to
Comfortable?
toe. And it's like I don't care
I
if I
wouldn't
look
feel
I don't care if I
comfortable.
look like a spaceman.
No,
Not comfortable, but more comfortable.
listen,
You know what I'm
I,
saying?
I get it. I was recently at Red Hut, social distancing myself. So I was beating my head against the wall. So I got out on the bike and I go out to Red Hut. And we're sitting there eating out in the parking lot because they're not letting anybody in. And I see this guy and a girl literally just fall in a turn. They weren't even going fast. They were maybe doing 15, 20 miles an hour. Takes the turn, boom. Nobody sees them, nobody hears it. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, these guys are fucked up. So I run over there. Bro, the girl has on Yeezys. Now, Yeezys are like basically like vinyl wraps across your feet and no socks, spandex, and a tank top.
Hey, you
And
gotta look cute if you're getting
jeans.
out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
look cute when you don't
They
have
was,
skin anymore.
man, her fucking ankle was swollen like a football. The tights, the skin tights she had on, they were embedded into her open wounds. So it wasn't like it cut through the pants. The pants literally, when it tore her skin, the part that opened up was in her
Just
skin.
mashed it in.
Yeah. And then
Nice.
like her elbows and this, and then the dude, he's bleeding on his elbows, his arms, because he had a t-shirt, and she's crying. And I'm like, how can I help? And he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, you should have wore gear. Like I couldn't even, like instead of saying you okay, it's just like it just came out. You should have had
Yeah.
gear, man.
Yeah.
You should have had
What
gear.
what I think is funny is like you see a dude on a bike, right? And he's like geared the fuck out. And then his girl is on the back and she's in like booty shorts, a tank top, and a helmet that she borrowed from him. So obviously it shakes around on her head, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, boy, you really don't care about her at all, do you? He's like, come on, baby, let's go for a ride.
It's like
come on, man.
it's like if you walk into a house and you're all like, you got a bullet, you would think something's going to be wrong in this house. Same shit on a bike. If he's got all this gear on and you don't, obviously he's telling you something. Either he doesn't know how to ride and he's geared up for the fall, or you're just that fucking stupid.
Like, have you guys ever been down, Josh? You crashed at the track. You've been down on the
I have
street.
never been down on the street actually. My first and only experience going down was just recently, March 16th actually. Oh, March 15th at Roebling Road Wasteway in Georgia. I low-sided going into turn 1 and it was just a stupid mistake. What's that? Say it one more time.
You went in too hot?
Yeah. Well, most definitely went in too hot.
I watched the video.
Yeah.
I saw what you did.
What do you do? Please tell me.
Well, I think like, and I think I was just reading about it. If I remember correctly, I mentioned it in the comments in the video, and yeah, and like so like what can happen is they'll come in too hot. So the natural response is that people will decelerate in the corner, right? Because that's a natural response, like, oh, I'm going too fast. And that's another big thing that people do, like as new riders, that's like they get that fear response and they'll do things that are counterproductive to motorcycle handling. Like our natural reactions are actually not that good for riding. You have to reprogram certain reactions. So I think you decelerated, okay, and that changed the geometry of the bike, okay, and then when you reaccelerate, that is what can cause like a new grip in your situation, and if you had too much gas, it'll
Hmm.
flip you over, or you'll if depending on your lean angle, and then or your low side, and I think that's
let
what
me
happened
let me
with you.
defend myself. Let me explain what was going through my head actually. So
Well, I mean,
no, no, no.
everybody crashes when
You
you're out of
travel.
eventually.
But so that entire weekend, I put it on myself that I was just out there like you're supposed to. I just went out there to have fun, but I didn't like latch on to any coaches. And even though it was my first time at Roebling Road, I didn't really ask anybody any questions. I didn't like get trying to get paired up so I can find out the best lines. I was just out there riding my ride and doing okay, in my opinion. Then day two, kind of winding down towards the end of the day, I finally had a coach pick me out and say, follow me. And so I went one lap following this coach on his lines, and I was like, oh shit, like I didn't approach it this way before. I didn't, enter at this speed or exit at this speed. I thought everything was gravy after that. But even in the video, you could see on that lap, I was even saying inside my helmet, you can hear me say, "Oh shit," because he caught me by surprise. I was trying to keep up, and he was leaving me, and I was on a weird line that I wasn't used to from the whole weekend. So, long story short, after he got back over on the straight, I had in my head, okay, I can do this a lot faster than what I was doing before. So let's try and remember immediately what this guy just showed me and try and duplicate. Well, that didn't happen. Literally, the very first turn,
Not the case.
not the case. Yeah, as I entered turn one, I didn't I didn't hit the brakes as hard as I normally did. I didn't take the same line that I normally did. And then about halfway through the turn, I realized like I'm already laying on the ground. Like I feel like my weight is more on my knee than I'm actually on the bike, which was actually pretty amazing to me. I'm like, "Oh shit, these tires are actually like gripping and holding up pretty well." But after I swung too wide, my rear tire literally it just hit the dirt and then it was gone after that.
So let me ask you a question, Josh. So how many times did you go through the track before this happened? Is this your first go around?
No, many.
Second?
No, this was day 2 of track day, track weekend.
Oh, okay. All right. No, because usually what happens is, and maybe it was an anomaly that happened, but a lot of times, all right, um, and I see it all the time when I go up to New York Safety Track. It's such a beautiful track, and you might go one or two laps, and then you thinking, oh man, I can Valentino Rossi this shit. Your tires are like still not warm or and bow. One thing I can say about track, and usually when I go, what I've learned and I've experienced with a lot of like excellent riders. Shout out to Team Fast Life, who are like my mentors. These guys really, I reach out to them for all kinds of knowledge and expertise. Coach Peach, Coach Pete, he's from New Jersey Motorsport. He comes out to New York Safety, and of course Andrew, who was my guardian angel. Um, a lot of times, um, the morning session is just like just get it in and just a lot of these guys approach it like yeah, the morning session is just like a break in, and
Mm.
these guys just blowing through it casually. And then, like when the sun peaks out after lunch, they go in a little harder. And I learned that because in the early part of the track, especially up there at New York Safety, the weather is very funny.
Mm.
You get that smoggy, cold, brisk air early in the morning, and that sticks to the to the tarmacs. And it's not until 11:30, 12 o'clock that the track is actually sticky. And
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times I've seen the like myself in like a like second session, third session, and I'm like in it twice already, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm comfortable, and then something gives on the bike, like, and then I'll go and I'll feel the track, and I'll see it like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
it's still not she's still not ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's
Yeah.
not ready to really
We
hit it.
should we should get together and all go sometime.
Yeah.
I think
Oh
it'd be
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I think
Oh
it'd be
yeah.
awesome. Rent a couple of vans and
Actually,
get out there.
Butter's
That'd be
got
great.
something planned coming up real soon. I don't know if it's still open, but we can talk about that offline after this is all wrapped up.
All right.
Which actually,
Yeah.
right now we should start wrapping it up. We've been gabbing for like
Oh, because I
40
was gonna
minutes
say
or something.
I looked at my comments again. I looked at my comments again, and what it was is you fixated. You came in hot. I saw like how your line was, and you target fixated, and you looked, and the bike went right where you were going. And so y'all riding out there, just remember wherever you're looking, the bike is gonna follow.
Yeah, that's one of the best things one of the actually brought up. So 90% of people who crash on the road, it is target fixation. They're so busy looking at what they can possibly hit or what they're trying to avoid, and that's where the bike goes. So that is actually very important. That's the first thing, one of the biggest things they teach you at track. You want to focus your eyes on where you want to be, not at what's going to be there. I mean, of course, you want to see what's going on, but you want to be fixated on where the bike should be and not where it could be, because that's where you're going to end up. So that's actually a good point that you brought up. We should have said that earlier. Yeah. So I got something going on May 26th and 27th. I'm actually just trying to get numbers. Looking to get about 40 guys. We're going to rent the track out for the day. They're practicing social distancing, 50 feet apart. Less people on the track. So Justin, if you want to get in, if you know anybody who wants to get in, let's talk outside of the
Yeah. I'll get your contact details later.
All right. So yo, do you guys like Butter? You got anything in closing? Anybody you want to shout out? Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
So there's a lot of ride outs going to be going on now that the weather's getting better and there's less traffic. Keep your group to a minimum, guys. One thing we learned on the Jersey Turnpike ride, there's a lot of people, a lot of different groups, a lot of different riders. Me, especially when I give a ride out, I like to tell people where I'm going, what exit I'm getting off. I like to stay in formation. Formation is important. Guys, if you haven't been riding a long time, try not to impress the older guys, man. They don't need, you're not really impressing nobody, bro.
They don't care.
Putting lives at risk. If you're a new rider and you want to show off your bike and your parents got money, or you can afford a $30,000 bike, God bless you. You know what I mean? I'm happy that you can afford it. But if you don't got the skills, just stay back, man. You know what I mean? Show your bike off at the stop, at the next location. It ain't gonna. Listen, it ain't gonna better nobody. I've been riding a long time. I've ridden with the best of the best, the most famous riders. There's a lot of great riders out there that I still ride with, that I got mad respect for, love for. I even try to get them out every now and then. But if you're riding in a large group, man, just play your position, man. That's it. Just because you have this expensive, beautiful bike, it doesn't really matter. Showing off is gonna kill a lot of people, man.
True.
Trying to be the dude in the front. I like to be in the back. For me, I'm a leader. I'm the president, founder of my club, and I feel safer when I keep account of every rider that came with me. I usually will pull up a little bit and then I'll fall back, and I just keep count of everybody who started the ride with me, and I like to make sure that the numbers stay the same. So every now and then I'll pull up and then I'll pull back. I mean, I will never lose the group because I played at 190 here and there.
You know how to keep.
If I have to catch up, I can.
Justin, you got anything?
I'm the same way. I'm always at the back because I'm not gonna let some fool ruin my day.
Justin, you got anything? You got anything you want to plug for like your business or websites or anything like that?
Oh yeah, sure.
So before I let Justin go off, I just want to shout out personal sponsors. Shout out to Mike's ProLid. He's definitely he's one of my most passionate friends. I mean, we've grown to love each other in such a deep way in business and on his bike life. So shout out to Mike ProLids. Anybody need a Mike ProLids, please hit me up. I got you. My first sponsor, my best sponsor, she's always got my back. My sister Sabrina, Prospect Power Sports. For those of you that pay full price on bikes, sorry, I don't. Shield to make sure I get the dealer discount. Takes care of my parts, everything I need, helmets. Shout out to my personal mechanic, Mike LaVista. I don't know if any of you guys know Mike LaVista. You guys watching? I'll put Mike LaVista against any mechanic in the tri-state area, hands down. The kid's a beast. I've been dealing with him for 27 years. I've actually watched him build the motor in my living room at the 18 at 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. I rely on him for everything. I call him for everything. I could be stuck in the middle of nowhere and be like, Mike, my bike is doing this. So and he's always taking care of my bikes. So shout out to him. He's definitely one of my biggest and oldest friends in this bike game. He taught me how to ride Bear Mountain. I used to ride Bear Mountain with him with the motor off. So that's an interesting thing. If you ain't never done it, come down the mountain with your motor off. And shout out to Cotton Hustle. That's my shop, my partner Bert. Yeah. I see you got a Cotton Hustle shirt on. That's what's up.
Man. It's some good shit.
Anybody need silk screening, any embroidery, definitely check us out. And big shout out to all my sponsors who've been donating food and the chefs that have been helping me out with the EMS stuff. I really appreciate you. Puerto Plaza Food, my key to happiness, all those guys. Hollywood Stunts, yo, shout out to Hollywood Stunts. We got to bring him on the show. He's definitely reached out with a lot of powerful people who's been helping me cooking. So definitely big shout outs to him. And
all right. Yo, man, you gonna be back next week. He's trying to shout out the entire NYC over here. Anybody watching? All your mamas, all your papas.
My baby mama, everybody, right?
Justin,
you got anything you want to say before we get out of here? Or before Butter jumps back in?
Just to reiterate, like keep safety in the front of your mind whenever you go out there. Our hospitals don't need messed up riders. You know what I mean? They got their hands full. We all know that shit. So just keep that in mind. And take your time, like, maybe once a week or something, and get out to practice. This is the perfect time. IKEA parking lot is empty. Every mall is empty. Just get out to a mall parking lot and just
Floyd Bennett Field.
Yeah, I said that, or Floyd Bennett. Yeah.
Try stops, try figure eights, try donuts. You know what I mean? I don't mean like power donuts, just regular riding in circles. Don't take me wrong. Don't burn up your tires, man. It's not what they're for. And I want to give a shout out to my not my garage, but the garage I'm a member of, Low Tide Motors. It's a community garage in Red Hook, Brooklyn, and just a super awesome community that I'm part of, and it's just really embittered my life. Seriously, being there, because it's super safe. Everybody there is really cool, and so if you need a place to store your bike and you want to work on it or learn how to work on it, go to the website and see if you can join up. It's lowtidemotors.com. All right, that's it for me.
Cool. All right, so thanks everybody that joined in. Also, definitely thanks Butter. Thank you, Justin. I really appreciate you guys joining. All you viewers at home, sorry, I know there was a lot of audio issues, especially when we started. There's still kind of audio issues now, I'm sure, but hopefully I'll get that taken care of before the next recording. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and like I said, we're actually going to record another one next week, Wednesday, 8 o'clock. So Butter will be here. I don't know if Justin will be around, but I actually have some other guests that I want to join us with some different topics. All right, that's what's up. And
I'm gonna meet up with him soon.
Okay. And also, if you are a rider and would like to participate in the show, send me an email, gymkhanajosh@gmail.com. Just give me some basic information to start with: name, what you ride, how you ride, where you ride, like why you want to participate in the show. I'll get back to you with some questions, and just for me to like kind of build a profile on you. But we need some other people to talk to. We got some things to talk about. So hit me up. And thanks again. I really appreciate everybody that tuned in. Sorry about the audio, but we'll get it figured out.
The most important person in the house, I'm gonna get killed. So shout out to my wife and kids who watch it. Give it that. They're like, you're echoing. So shout out to them. They'll watch it.
Right on. Right on. And as I usually say, leave this world better than you found it. Take it easy.
All right.
Hey, yo, so